For the longest time, the way we talked about football was, well, pretty predictable, right? Polished TV studios, ex-pros in suits. But something's changed. A totally new, raw, and honestly way more powerful wave of voices has completely shaken things up. So let's get right into it. And where does this story start? Not in some fancy studio with a touchscreen. No, it starts right here with this. Just pure, unfiltered rage from a fan on a street corner. This single moment went absolutely viral because it captured something the traditional media just couldn't or wouldn't. It was, without a doubt, a lightning rod moment. And that one viral clip, really, it just blows the whole thing wide open and asks the question we're going to dig into today. Because this isn't just about one guy being upset. Not at all. It's about a full-blown revolution in sports media. It's about who gets to speak, who actually gets heard, and, what it even means to be an expert anymore. So let's talk about the first wave. This whole thing really kicked off with channels made by the fans for the fans. I mean, they just completely tore up the old rulebook. Suddenly, the megaphone was in the hands of the people in the stands. The ones whose entire week, their whole mood, is decided by what happens on a Saturday afternoon. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just, wow, it's night and day. On one hand, you've got the traditional setup, super polished, studio-based, always claiming to be neutral. And then you've got this new world. It's raw, it's emotional, and here's the kicker, it's proudly 100% biased. It's the authentic fan versus the polished professional, and they're not even trying to be the same thing. And look, don't for a second think this is some small niche thing happening in a corner of the internet. We are talking about actual media empires being built here. I mean, look at these numbers. Channels like the United Stand and AFTV have millions of subscribers. They're building audiences that don't just rival the old guard. In a lot of cases, they're completely blowing them out of the water. So what's the secret sauce here? What are they actually doing? Well, their whole promise is to be the authentic voice of the football fan. And that means you get everything. You get the fan cams right outside the stadium capturing that instant reaction. You get people doing live watch-alongs. You get podcasts and previews that are completely biased. And of course, you get those absolutely legendary, passionate rants. It's a whole ecosystem built around the fan experience. Okay, but it's not just the fans who are grabbing the mic and changing the game. That's only half the story. There's this second, equally powerful movement that's popped up where the actual legends of the sport, well, they've decided to start talking too, but completely on their own terms. And the vibe here? It's a total 180. Forget the rants on the street corner. What we're getting now are these deep, unfiltered, long-form conversations with some of the absolute biggest names to ever grace a football pitch. We're talking about icons, telling their stories with nothing held back. The perfect example of this is a channel like The Overlap. Its whole model is built on one thing, the incredible experience and credibility of the people hosting it. See, they're not just reacting to a 90-minute game. They're giving you a real insider's perspective, and it goes so far beyond those tired old post-match cliches we've all heard a million times. So let's break it down, because this is really the key point. You've got these two very different but equally powerful models, right? The fan channels get their power from that raw, relatable passion. You watch them and think, that's exactly how I feel. Then you have the pro-led channels, and their power comes from decades of elite experience. It really boils down to this. One appeals to you because they're just like me, and the other appeals because, wow, they've actually done it. But this whole media shakeup, it's not just an English Premier League thing. Not even close. This is a genuinely global phenomenon. And what's so cool is that in different parts of the world, it takes on its own completely unique, fascinating local flavor. All right, check this out. This is from a huge channel in South Africa called MacG. What he's saying here basically translates to, Steve, my friend, it's tense. It's very tense. Kaiser Chiefs promised us they'd beat Sundowns, so the league title stays in Soweto. See? That's not just a prediction. It's dripping with local pride, with rivalry. It's how fans actually talk to each other. And he's talking about a rivalry like the Soweto Derby between Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. And you have to understand, this isn't just a football match. It is a massive, massive cultural event. It carries the weight of history, of local identity. It's so much bigger than just 90 minutes. And this is what makes it so special. The whole conversation gets woven in with talks about team identity, about culture, and even things like Muthi, which is this belief in traditional charms or medicine that could actually influence the game. It's like a little window into the cultural fabric that makes football matter so much in that part of the world. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. These different worlds we've been talking about, the passionate fan, the experienced pro, the unique global voice, they're not just running on parallel tracks. Nope, they're starting to cross over, to intersect, and they're creating this brand new media ecosystem. You can almost see this cycle of content happening in real time. So a fan channel will have this massive emotional reaction after a bad loss. Then a pro leg channel comes in and breaks down all the tactical mistakes. And then what happens? The fan channels react to that analysis and it creates this constant looping conversation. It's pretty wild. And these worlds have been colliding for a while now. I mean, one of the most famous early examples was when Gary Neville, yep, the guy who now runs the Overlap, actually went onto AFTV to debate the fans directly on their own turf. That was a huge landmark moment. And today, it's even more common and a lot more structured. You get entire series like Rival Ballers, which is this team-up between AFTV and another channel, DR Sports. They're creating brand new show formats, literally pitting rival fans against each other in challenges. It's a whole new level of content. So, after all that, where does this leave us? What's the big takeaway from this complete redrawing of the sports media map? What does it all mean? Well, when you boil everything down, this entire massive revolution, it all really comes back to one single powerful idea. And that idea is authenticity. That's the magic word. That is the engine driving this whole thing. Whether it's the raw, gut-wrenching authenticity of a fan who's just seen their team lose, or the hard-earned authenticity of a legend who's been there and done it, or the cultural authenticity of a local broadcast, what audiences are craving is a real, genuine connection to the game they love. They want something real. Which, of course, leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating question to think about. In this new world we're in, where the line between the fan in the stands, the player on the pitch, and the pundit in the studio is getting blurrier every single day, what does the future of how we talk about sports even look like? The game on the field might not have changed, but believe me, the game off of it, that has changed forever.